Alright, so I've been asked to make a video on my chalk paint, what I use, how I do it, so here we go. So this is going to be Brian's nightstand. I just got it for $8. Look at that, how cute is that? I love it. It has a gold top, so that's sitting over there. I'm going to have to spray paint that because that's needing a little fixing. So what you want to do is get your product first. Dixie Belle is the one that I'm really loving right now, and then just a top coat. I like the flat because I don't like it super shiny. You want a good brush, and make sure that you go through when you first get your brush and kind of comb through and get all the bristles that aren't all the way in there, otherwise you're going to have it stuck in your paint. Then you just wipe it all down, clean it down. You do not have to sand unless it is a super high gloss from what I've been told. So far every product that I've had, or every one of my projects that I've done, I have not sanded at all, and they have been amazing so far. So this is the desk, this is what we're doing. So I've cleaned it down, I took the drawer out, it's sitting right over here, and I'm going to start painting. So I'm going to do 2 coats of this Dixie Belle. It does not take long at all to dry. I definitely suggest doing it in a shaded area. I'm in my garage. If you're out in the sun, I can't even imagine how fast this would dry. You can water it down a little if it's too thick, but personally I have not been doing that. I've just heard that you could. So I'm going to start. This is pretty foolproof, so here we go. Okay, so it took maybe about 15 minutes to paint it. I mean, really not that long. The first coat is on. So you can see it dries really fast. So 15 minutes and you can already see this is the first side that I painted and it is already dry. So it does not take long at all to dry. So I'm going to give that just a few minutes and I'm going to paint the drawer. I took out the hardware on it already. I am more than likely going to put something else on there. I'm not real sure though, or I might just spray paint it gold to match the top, but that's what I'm doing next. Alright, so second coat is on. One of the things with the second coat, it's definitely a lot harder to see the spots that you've missed, so really take your time. Make sure you're getting into the little grooves. And one of the other things that you really need to do after you've kind of let it sit for like a minute is to go back. You'll see right here, see the drip? You want to make sure you kind of walk around with your brush and make sure that there's no drips. And especially on projects like this where there's a lot of corners and edges, you'll see a lot more dripping. So just kind of take your brush and walk through and just double check that there's no drips anywhere. So there you go, that's the second coat. Got the drawer done. And now I'm simply going to let it sit for a few hours and dry. And then I will show you the next part. Alright, so now it's dry. It's probably been drying about 2 hours. I mean, as you can plainly tell, it does dry super fast. So I am going to go through and start sanding. I don't like to wait till overnight for it to dry. I like it when it's still a little, it's like easier to come off. So just a sanding little thing. Get this anyway. I don't like to over distress any of my furniture, so the one thing I do really love is just around on the edges. I love the way that looks. Simple as that. You can see already that it's distressing in some areas. When it comes to the corners, hold on. Ugh. Got some good paint on that one. It's taking a little while. When it comes to the corners, I do it almost as if it would have just gotten a little banged up. I just like the way that looks. Again, this is totally up to you on where you sand, how much you sand, how distressed you get it looking. I don't like it over distressed, so I try not to do too much. But I do like the way it looks when you just get a little bit. So, love the way it looks on the edges. And I'm going to pick up the camera here in just a second so you can really see the difference. You could absolutely have left it just the way it was, where it was just one solid color. You don't have to do the distressing look, but I really I love the way it turns out. Down here, I'll probably get just a little bit more on the edge. Oh, that car was loud. So that's probably about all I would get. You'd want to go through and kind of dust it off. But you can see just right around the edging is all I've really done. Just in a few little spots here and there. So this is what it looks like without it being done. Here's a glob that I missed. Oh, probably not even showing that on there, am I? There we go. Here's a glob that I totally missed. Luckily it's not too dry. So I can kind of, and plus with that spot, one good thing about it is I am planning on sanding it a little. So I can just take it and sand a little bit of that off so it won't look like that. But there you go. That is what you're going to do, and you're going to kind of do that all the way around the entire piece. Okay? All right, so that is the next step. I'll show you when it's all sanded. All right, so got it all de-stressed where I want it. Very, very, very subtle spots. So you can see just mostly around the edging, a little bit like on just places where, I don't know, just wear and tear would happen. I don't really do it on like the flat surface. I just don't think that looks very natural. I really just keep with the edges. As you can plainly see, I put the drawer in just so you can kind of see where I distressed that too, but just a very little, just around spots where it would kind of get hit. So very light de-stressing. And then all you have to do is go back and glaze and then let it sit overnight. So I'll be back. All right, so I'm ready for the last step, and that is just the top coat. Usually I would really put a good thick amount on my very, very top because that's where you really will notice the wear and tear a lot more. I mean, this is seriously so easy. This is it. That's what you're doing, guys. This is it. That's the whole gist of it. Now, if you are doing a piece, this piece, of course, has a different top to it, so it's not going to be chalk painted. But if you did have a piece that the top is chalk painted, you want to make sure you do a really good coat on the top. Even maybe go back and do a second coat. But that is it. This is all you are doing. You're just coating it. Again, this is a flat finish. There's a lot of different finishes. You can get a gloss if you would like. I really don't like the high gloss look. So again, all preference, but you just simply put it on and then just make sure you don't have any drips. So just go back and double check. And that is all there is to it. You literally do that to the whole thing. All right, I will be back to show you the actual finished piece.